Hey everybody, yes, it is that time of the year once again, and for me, this is still a very new thing. Always, obviously, the Oscars are very well known. Everybody knows what the Oscars are. It's just whether you care about them or not is a different story. And for most of my life, I didn't care about them. I wasn't as into the movies in that way as an art form as I have been in the most recent couple years, and even a couple years ago, I still am not at the level I am right now. And last year, well, earlier this year for the Oscars, I made a point to watch all the Best Picture nominees, as well as all the nominees that um, were the best actors and best actresses. All those the performance categories. I watched all the movies for those, and then that by proxy, I ended up watching most of the others from the other categories, but there were some that were missing, of course. But it was a lot of catch up earlier this year to try to do that, and going through 2025, I've been making much more conscious effort because I really am into the award season. I think it's fun, even if ultimately it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. You don't. It's not always awarded to the best. You know, even this past Oscars, with Amelia Perez getting the most nominations, um, that was crazy. And things like that will happen that just don't make sense. Like if you're trying to judge it from an objective standpoint. But all that being said, I think it's fun. I think it's fun to follow, and as someone who loves film, obviously it's a good incentive to watch movies. And so, like I was trying to say, throughout 2025, I've been a lot more conscious about watching movies that released in this year, as well as specifically movies that were potential Oscar nominees. Trying to keep that in mind always. So I remember early in the year, or at least after the last Oscars, I put together a huge list through a letterbox to just compiling any 2025 movies that I think would be relevant at all, that interested me at all, and or any potential to be nominated in some way. And there are articles out early on of like predictions, and it's crazy people doing predictions like before the year even started, pretty much, which is wild. And it's one of my least favorite things of award season too, is that like so much can be that telegraphed in advance to where it's like we're not even judging on merit. Movies aren't even out yet and they're being nominated just because we're assuming and things like that. But yeah, with all that being said, I watched 67 movies as of this video that released in 2025 this year. So with that with that being the easily the biggest number ever. Last year I watched 50 movies for the first time ever total, including like all releases. And now I've watched well over that just from this year's movies alone. And I still have a watch list, a 2025 watch list of 80 movies. And so obviously that is very overwhelming. I tried to keep up as much as I could throughout the year, but my focus is going to be on watching the movies that are going to be most relevant in award season. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go over a couple of things that have happened in recent weeks that will kind of will just be fun to talk through and catch people up if you haven't been following award season or the precursor award season, essentially. And then also, pretty much the list of nominees on here is going to be my short list, my own personal short list of movies to watch and prioritize. So yeah, it's interesting to see, like, even with as many as I've watched, there's still so many that I need to watch that will be relevant movies, like potential Best Picture nominees. And so a couple things we're going to go through. First of all, I'm going to talk about the Critics' Choice Awards nominations. That's going to be an awards show that airs on January 4th, straight out the gate. And then a week later, the Golden Globes will air which also released its nominees, which we'll go through. And then lastly, we'll talk about the shortlist for the Oscars for the first 12 categories. And so these are all the below the line categories, essentially the ones we're waiting for in the next wave, I'm assuming, are going to be the big ones: best picture, acting, production design, things like that, the bigger ones. And yeah, so the Oscars will air on March 15th. The Oscars obviously being the most prestigious, the one that people hold in the highest regard. It's the 98th Oscars, in fact. So hard to dispute that reputation. And of course, the thing I like about Oscars, which just feels natural for an award show that the other two don't do. I don't know like the entire history because I haven't been following them very religiously, obviously, but it seems like they do it just so they can get the early jump, give people reason to watch those versus the Oscars. But like objectively speaking, like why are we having an award show on January 4th when there are movies that come out on December 25th? Like, it does not give people enough time to actually watch the movies in whatever committee they put together. Either way, just for people to be watching those shows, not knowing, like, not having the chance to watch a bunch of those movies. So at least with March for the Oscars, it gives you a couple months, like I did earlier this year, to catch up on the ones you didn't get. But yeah, the Oscars are the big ones, but obviously the Critics' Choice, Golden Globes, and I know there are others as well. I think SAG that'll be coming up. There's a bunch of precursor award shows that essentially, indicate certain films and actors' chances going into the Oscars, and that's mostly what they're used for. It's like, we're building to the ultimate award show, and it just gives you an indication. And like I said, the nominees themselves give you a basis of like what kind of movies you should probably be looking at to watch if you want to be in the know of the award show. But if you haven't been keeping up, it's super overwhelming. So I totally get it. Like, that's why I haven't had like a stake in the race in any like previous years except for the most recent one, because I just haven't watched enough. I had never watched enough of the movies to be able to have any stake in it or have anyone to root for, any movie to root for. And even just a few years back, I wasn't watching a lot of these films that typically are up for Oscars. More of the mainstream movies I would watch that, like, you come into the award show, like, where's the nomination for like this superhero movie that I watched? It's like, what the hell? But I'm more passionate about film than ever. I'm more passionate about film than ever. I've watched the most movies I've ever watched in my life this year. I'm at over 180. Yeah, over 180 movies, first time watches for this year, when last year was my previous record, which was like 52. So yeah, it's a significant jump. And yeah, we're going to go through. So I'll timestamp it below. Critics' Choice noms, Golden Globes noms, and then Oscars shortlist. We'll go through each one. I have seen these already, so it's not my first reaction. Maybe future things I could try to get my fresh reaction to, but I'm just not always able to get videos out soon after. So that's why obviously these three things have piled up. But yeah, and I'll break them down as I go through them. All right, first off is Critics' Choice. Both Critics' Choice and Golden Globes incorporate television into it as well. I'm not going to even try to pretend like I can talk about anything when it comes to television. I don't know if will have seen any of the nominees for television. That's something, like, as much as I've been trying to keep up with movies now, and that's tough to do, television seems even more of a daunting task for me, and I just haven't even attempted that. I do love television, but film has just taken priority over it. And as such, I'm not really going to go into those categories because I'm not going to I'm not gonna just say a bunch of names I don't know. The fun thing about these as well, um, let's just go into it. We'll go into it. All right, all right, all right. Critics' Choice Awards hosted by Chelsea Handler. Shout out. I mean, just look at the headline here. Like, Sinners leads film contenders with 17 nominations. That's an insane amount of nominations. I don't know how many categories exactly Critics' Choice have. But then Adolescence, which I've heard a lot of good stuff about for TV, also earned 6 nods, which tops the TV category. It's very nice. So this one is just going to start with the big picture ones, of course. So Best Picture, straight up. The 10 nominees, just like the Oscars. Begonia. I love Begonia. This is one I'm just like really crossing my fingers that it gets into Oscars Best Picture nominees. It deserves it, but I don't know if it's gonna do it. Frankenstein on Netflix. I enjoyed Frankenstein. I like that it's getting some nods here. Hamnet. That's the big one that has had so much buzz about it, both for the actress and just as a Best Picture nominee in general. And I'm actually going to see that within a week. I should have seen it. All right, so look forward to seeing what that's about. Well, I look forward to seeing it. Jay Kelly is one that I do think is not perfect. It's pretty flawed, but I did quite enjoy it. That's with George Clooney and Adam Sandler, who I thought were both phenomenal, and they're the highlights. They're the highlights of that film. It's really nice. It's a nice story. Marty Supreme is another one which I will hopefully have watched within at least the next couple weeks, which has gotten a lot of buzz as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing that with Timothée Chalamet. One Battle After Another, of course, looking like the front runner. It's been looking like the front runner for some time. The second I saw that movie, I said that's the front runner. That's gonna win Best Picture. I don't see anything challenging it. We'll see, but I think so far for me, that's my Best Picture of the year. We'll see. Sentimental Value is another one I need to see that I've heard great things about. So I'm going to do that as soon as I'm able. You know, it's just more a matter of accessibility for that one, I think. Sinners. Loved Sinners. And obviously we're going to hear it over and over again in these nominations all across the board. I mean, it's just really cool to see. I mean, you don't really see a movie like that as very much in the horror genre. And like, not full-blown horror, but very much that's the vein it's in. So it's just rare to see it. It's like The Substance, but The Substance was not getting 17 nominations, so this is like unprecedented stuff. I mean, it's a great film. I think it's an original film, original screenplay, which is refreshing to see. So often the best movies are adapted in some way, and it's just completely fresh concept. Obviously, pulling on pre-existing ideas, but I think that's refreshing for a lot of people too. Train Dreams, which I quite enjoyed as well, very deserving. I think it's a great, really one of those films that's going to have you be an introspective, contemplative film, profound in some ways. And yeah, cool to see it get a nod here. That's another one people are not sure if it will get into Best Picture for the Oscars or not. And here's hoping. I think again, I haven't ironed out exactly where I place everything. And like I said, I still haven't seen, what was it, from this Best Picture list, I haven't seen Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and Sentimental Value. So 3 out of the 10 I haven't seen. Hopefully we're resolving 2 of those by the end of the year. That'd be nice. At least. I don't know if Sentimental Value, what's going on with that, where that's if that'll be available anywhere for me to watch anytime soon, or if that'll be a catch up next year kind of situation. And lastly, Wicked for Good, which I did enjoy. It was heavily flawed. I totally acknowledge that, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. The performances, a couple of the songs, a lot of the songs aren't as strong, but a couple of the songs I really liked. But I don't think it should be in Best Picture. I don't think it's one of the 10 best movies of the year, but it's just like one of those things. Sometimes just the legacy is enough to carry it through. And so we'll see. We'll see if it lands in Oscars. But it has been getting a lot of nominations and things like the Golden Globes. So it could have. Well, particularly, it's been getting. It had a lot of mentions in the shortlist for the Oscars, which we'll get to. And so maybe there's more hope for Wicked for Good than you would have thought. Best Actor, we got Timothée Chalamet, which I haven't seen, for Marty Supreme. But of course, he's just going to be here. I feel like he's going to do his damnedest to be nominated every year. People are going to get fatigued for Timothy. Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another. An excellent performance, absolutely. Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams is an inspired choice. Oh yeah, the fun thing with Critics' Choice is they open up giving more space. I think Golden Globes does this too, if I'm not mistaken. But the Oscars are limited to 5 per category, except for picture with 10. And they give themselves room for like 6 on these categories, so it's nice. So you get like another name in there that you might not get a nod at the Oscars. Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. Blue Moon is a movie I thought was just okay, even though I know it worked for a lot of people a lot more. But the the biggest takeaway I took from that film was that, man, Ethan Hawke was amazing as what was his name? Lorenz Hart. Lorenz Hart. He was amazing as Lorenz Hart. Like, out of any of the performances this year, I think more than any of them, the actor completely disappeared into that character. At no point after the movie started, I was not like, oh, look, it's Ethan Hawke. It's just like, no, he completely transformed and lost himself in that character in the best way possible. So, definitely deserves props. I wouldn't be mad even if he won. So, very cool. Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. That's cool to see, obviously. Really is, it's a cool thing. He played 2 different performances himself in the movie as the 2 brothers. And he really shows some heart in there. He's not, when you think of the performances of the year, he doesn't come top of mind as like he needs a nomination. But there's some subtlety in the performance that I've appreciated more over time in retrospect. And then lastly, Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent, which is one I still have to see. Secret Agent. Best Actress, there are a few in here that I need to see. It's kind of wild. As much as I've been trying to keep up, there's a couple that even when I wanted to keep up, it's just like they weren't available in theaters near me. Like, I hate how limited some of the movies are. It just makes the barrier for entry is so tough. And then it's like, all right, I got to catch up next year whenever it's available on some streaming or even having to rent it. I had to rent digital rent shit earlier this year for the last Oscars. So we'll see. Best Actress, Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. People are saying it's like been a runaway, like she's the favorite for some time now. Like, before the movie's been out, obviously it released, there's earlier showings and festivals and whatnot that I'm not completely privy to, but yeah, Hamnet just now coming out, and I'm gonna try to watch that as soon as I can, because I'm eager to see particularly what this performance is all about that I've been hearing so much about. Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, another one I have to see, but I've heard good things. Heard it's in a similar vein to Jennifer Lawrence's performance in Die My Love, like similar category, why she might have kind of gotten boxed out by that. Got Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another. I thought she was lovely in that film. We got Renate Reinsve for Sentimental Value, which I haven't seen. We have Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee, which I haven't seen yet. And we have Emma Stone for Begonia, who's excellent. So I really look forward to, once I've seen all the people in these categories, to be able to try to do some sort of ranking or video saying who I would pick for each category. That'll be a fun one, because seems like strong competition in both categories, honestly. For Best Supporting Actor, we got Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another. Awesome. He's awesome in that. Jacob Elordi in Frankenstein. He's also a fantastic performance. Paul Mescal for Hamnet. Haven't seen him in it. Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. He's very cool and like the really over the top villain character of that film. Like, but he gives it his all. He's fully into that role too. Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly. I thought it was a solid performance. And Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value, which I haven't seen. So again, some of these categories, like if I haven't seen half of them, I can't really say much on that, on who I put my stock in. But Best Supporting Actress, Elle Fanning, Sentimental Value. Ariana Grande, Wicked for Good, which is such an interesting one because it's like, would I definitely nominate her performance for that particular film? I don't know, but it's also one of those things where it's like she definitely got robbed last year, so I wouldn't be mad at it at all. I don't know. We got Inga Ibsdatter Leas for Sentimental Value. We have Amy Madigan for Weapons, who is awesome, and I would love to see her get nominated for Oscars as well. That would be a really cool and unconventional one. It's cool to even see her here. You know, now that I think about it, I don't even know who exactly the front runner is for this category. Because I remember early on it was like Ariana Grande is like really in a good position, and then when Wicked for Good came out and there wasn't as much passion for it, it's a lot more trepidatious. But okay, I didn't realize they're both in the same line here accidentally. We got Wunmi Mosaku for Sinners, which is very nice. She's pretty solid in there. And Teyana Taylor for One Battle After Another. So much One Battle After Another love, which is cool. She's a lot of fun in that film and a good performance. So for that one, I just need to see Sentimental Value to see two of those 6 nominees. Best Young Actor slash Actress, which I think is a nice category that the Oscars should maybe consider. You know, because Oscars in the past, they've had really young winners, but it's very few and far between. And it's been years since we've had a truly young actor slash actress win. Though the cutoff, I'm not sure exactly what it is, because I know Miles Caton is in here, who's like 20 or 21. So I don't know if I would have a category with them included. I would probably have like an 18 or 17 and under category if possible. Maybe it's just like they're worried they wouldn't have enough nominees at that point. But anyway, Everett Blunk for The Plague. Have not seen that. Haven't heard much about that at all, actually. Miles Caton for Sinners. Carrie Christopher for Weapons. Yes. Shannon Mahina Gorman for Rental Family. Another one I haven't seen. Jacoby Jupe for Hamnet. And Nina Ye for Left-Handed Girl. So I haven't seen that. So a lot of those I haven't seen. Cool. That's a cool category, though. Best Director, we got Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another. Ryan Coogler, Sinners. Guillermo del Toro, Frankenstein. Josh Safdie, Marty Supreme. Joachim Trier, Sentimental Value. You know, I haven't watched Sentimental Value, so I'm really not accustomed to like directors' names, some of these actors' names, like, and that's a complete blind spot for me, that film. And Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. Seem like solid choices. Again, I've seen half and haven't seen the other. So interesting. The first 3. I've seen One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Frankenstein, which I think are all very deserving nominations. And look forward to seeing the others. Best Original Screenplay. Noah Baumbach and Emily Mortimer for Jay Kelly. Ronald Bronstein and Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme. Ryan Coogler for Sinners. Zach Kreger for Weapons. Ava Victor for Sorry Baby. Eskil Voigt and Joachim Trier. Oh my god, I'm sounding like Marlon Wayans. I forget if it was for this one or for the Golden Globes that he did. Crazy. He was reading the nominees and he did not know how to pronounce like almost any of them, even the simple ones. Like, obviously, I'm not doing perfectly, but I wouldn't be choosing to be a presenter. Like, you'd think they would give him a little, like, you don't just throw someone in to present who has never even seen the names before, but I guess they just did that. So, best original screenplay, I would say I just haven't seen Marty Supreme and Sentimental Value. I think Ava Victor being nominated in anything, I'm really here for. So, cool. But, yeah, that might be a sinner's win. You know, it's tough to think like with the movies that are dominating the nominations for to just randomly go to something else is usually it's pretty unusual. But anyway, best adapted screenplay: Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Clint Bentley and Greg Quedar for Train Dreams, Park Chan-wook, Lee Hyung-mi, Don McKellar, and Jia Lee for No Other Choice, Guillermo del Toro, Frankenstein, Will Tracy, Begonia, Chloe Zhao, and Maggie O'Farrell for Hamnet. So here comes another one, which I think is underperformed for some people, which is No Other Choice, which I would really love to see because it's a Park Chan-wook film, and I really loved The Handmaiden, which I watched earlier this year, and it's a fantastic film. So I would love to see No Other Choice for Good Things, and looking forward to that one. It's just a matter of I haven't had access to it yet, so hopefully soon. Best casting and ensemble: we have Nina Gold for Hamnet, Douglas Abel and Nina Gold for Jay Kelly. Oh, both, well, interesting. Jennifer Venditti for Marty Supreme, Cassandra Clukundis for One Battle After Another, Francine Maisler for Sinners, and Tiffany Little Canfield and Bernard Telsey for Wicked for Good. I still got to wrap my head around the casting. I know it's not new for Critics' Choice, but it is new for Oscars. But I still don't know like what angle I would take with who I would want to pick, what film I would pick for that. Best Cinematography: Claudio Miranda for F1, Dan Laustin for Frankenstein, Lucas Zal for Hamnet, Michael Bauman for One Battle After Another, Autumn Durald Arkapaw for Sinners, and Adolfo Veloso for Train Dreams. F1 I need to see, and that was another one which I'll hopefully have seen within the next couple weeks. I plan on it. I know it's out on streaming now, so. But yeah, F1 and Hamnet I haven't seen, though they both could be very much contenders for it. I wouldn't be surprised, but One Battle After Another is going to be a tough one to beat, I think. Best Production Design. There's just so many categories, not only in this, but other things and Golden Globes and the Oscars shortlist to get to. So I'm not going to say all the names because I realized I put myself in a pickle going into some of these categories where there's 6 different names. All right, so Best Production Design is going to be for the Fantastic Four: First Steps, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Sinners, and Wicked for Good. And what I'm going to try to do before the Oscars, we'll see how much time I have because that's even another big undertaking. I'm going to try to rewatch some of them, maybe particularly the Best Picture ones I'll hone in on just to really try to cement how I feel about them. But, yeah, those are good ones. I mean, Wicked for Good always has a great production design. I think Frankenstein, especially after seeing the little documentary on Netflix about it, that's a really good one. But a couple I haven't seen there. Best Editing: A House of Dynamite. I've not seen that. I've heard divisive things on it. F1, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Perfect Neighbor, and Sinners. The Perfect Neighbor is so interesting because I did watch The Perfect Neighbor. It's a documentary. It's an absolutely brutal documentary. It's not for the faint of heart at all. So like, don't go watching the movie just on a random afternoon if you're not prepared to be just crushed, you know, and demoralized in so many ways. Totally brutal and definitely valuable as a human, I think, to see it. But best editing, I don't know about that. That's an interesting choice. I mean, the film is pretty much all editing, I guess, but so much of it is just raw. You know, because the thing with that documentary is that it's just like 80% police body cam footage. I mean that genuinely, at least 80%. Because then there's just parts at the end where there's a little interrogation moment and a couple of things, but pretty much all told. The story is told through the police's body cam footage through a extended period of time. And so I guess telling the story in that way, there's some editing there, which is interesting, but it just feels so raw. Um, so that's a very interesting nod there. Best costume design: Frankenstein, Hamnet, Hedda. Hedda's another one I haven't seen. Kiss of the Spider Woman, Sinners, and Wicked for Good. Costume design very likely could go to Wicked for Good. There's great work on Sinners. There's great work on Frankenstein. That's more of a hair and makeup type category, but Kiss of the Spider Woman is also another interesting one, but it's just not going to be that. That's an interesting category. Best hair and makeup. 28 years later. That's a pretty cool nomination. Frankenstein, Sinners, The Smashing Machine, which is one I haven't seen. That's one of the ones where it like kind of fell through my fingertips. Like I easily could have watched it in theaters as it was flopping, and I just let it flop. I was hoping it would be quick to streaming, but still no. I might have to. It's gonna have to be a catch-up film at this point. Weapons, yes, and Wicked for Good. Yeah, there's some random. Because now I'm going back and then coming up to where we are with the shortlist, but I'm pretty sure Weapons missed on hair and makeup. I believe that was the one where it was kind of shocking. And so it's interesting to see it here in the 6, and it didn't make the bigger list in the Oscars shortlist, not even the nominees. But I think it deserves to be here. That one was hard to say. I mean, the makeup looked really good from what I could tell. The Smashing Machine, I have to watch it. I wouldn't say Sinners. But Frankenstein is a different contender there. Again, I'm not giving my definitive answers here, but that's just I'm just giving out little thoughts here and there. Best visual effects: Avatar: Fire and Ash, which hadn't even come out yet by the time this came out. That's another one which I'm gonna try to watch the next couple weeks. Yeah, I'm trying to cram a lot in there. F1, Frankenstein, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Sinners, and Superman. Mission Impossible is already one I've conceded will be a catch up next year, because that's one I'm going to have to watch because it's going to be nominated for stuff. But I haven't seen anything past Mission Impossible 1. So with how I do it, I need to watch all of them. So I'm going to do the whole catch up early next year. It's my plan. But for best visual effects, probably gonna be Avatar. I haven't seen it, but just that's all the movie is known for. Is that series at least? Best stunt design, Ballerina. That's another one I'll have to probably catch up on next year because I gotta watch the first 3 John Wicks. F1, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Warfare. Another one I have to watch. So hard to really say anything on this one, especially I haven't seen half of them, and half of these are like the ones I haven't seen are like the super action heavy ones. So best animated feature, Arco, gotta watch that. Elio's Pizza, yes. In Your Dreams, K-pop Demon Hunters, Little Amelie or the Character of Rain, and Zootopia 2. So I haven't seen Arco and Little Amelie. I actually, I liked Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Zootopia too. I liked all those. I didn't like In Your Dreams, so it's just so weird to see it here. I guess it's always kind of slim pickings for the animated because there's not like hundreds of big, big name animated films coming out each year. But it's looking like a K-pop Demon Hunters W, which is crazy. Best comedy, The Ballad of Wallace Island, a great film. Eternity, one I haven't seen. I definitely could have seen in theaters if I made the time for it. Friendship, that's a funny movie. Naked Gun, I want you to pull my finger. Actually, I'm not. It's not like I loved the movie. I just happen to have this little poster that my brother picked up from when he went. But it is funny. The Phoenician Scheme, that is one I will be watching in the next couple weeks. And Splitsville, which I have no idea. I have no idea anything about that. Because these are such fun categories they have mixed in here. Like Best Comedy, it's such a random category that has all these nominees that aren't going to get anything in the Oscars, pretty much. But it's interesting, these categories though too, because it's like I wouldn't say it embodies the category the best, but I think The Ballad of Wallace Island is the best one there of what I've seen so far, which is about half of them. Best foreign language film, It Was Just an Accident, Left-Handed Girl, No Other Choice, Secret Agent, Surat, and Belaine. Huh. I haven't seen any of those. So I definitely have catch up to do on those. That's for sure. Best song, Drive from F1, Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters, I Lied to You from Sinners, Clothed by the Sun from The Testament of Anne Lee, Train Dreams from Train Dreams, The Girl in the Bubble from Wicked for Good, The Big Magic Bubble. No, Big Shiny Bubble. It's pretty much already been narrowed down in the talks. Like, people are assuming it's going to be between Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters and I Lied to You from Sinners. I got to give all these a fresh listen, but I wouldn't be mad at either of them. And there's arguments for both. Like, Golden is the huge, like, super viral hit of the year, whereas I Lied to You is like much more pivotal in the film and has a little more depth to it. So, but it's probably gonna be one of those two. I will listen back to them. Best score: F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. Man, Sinners might be a good contender there. Again, haven't seen half of these. Have seen the other half. One Battle After Another is a lot of fun too for that. And lastly, Best Sound, F1, Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, Sinners, Surat, and Warfare. It's so interesting. I mean, as much as it's like not the same level of the Oscars, like they seem to be hitting some of the ones people are saying or feel missing from just even already the shortlist for the Oscars. Like, people were like really pushing for Warfare. They were bummed to see Warfare wasn't there, which I haven't seen, so I'm just taking their word for it. But it made the 6 here on the Critics' Choice, but didn't make the big lists. I forget how many, 10 on the Oscar shortlist, which we'll get to. Just interesting. Again, can't really comment on that one. Got to see a couple of the ones that are probably good contenders. And that's it. It just lists out all the nominations that each film has received very nicely. Yeah. So in terms of big contenders, I need to see particularly Hamnet, Marty Supreme, which are both ones I'll be seeing soon, and Sentimental Value. Those are the 3 big ones, but there are obviously others I'm going to get to that I named off. So that's it for the Critics' Choice Awards nominations. let's move to the Golden Globes, which at least gives you nice, fancy-looking pictures. Come on. This is another fun thing that the Golden Globes do, I think, which is splitting up certain categories, which not only they do the 6 nominee thing, but they also split up certain categories, like some acting categories and the best picture categories, which allows for more films, which is kind of nice. Though some of it's kind of arbitrary, which we'll get to. Best motion picture for drama: Frankenstein, Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and The Secret Agent. So yeah, I've only seen Frankenstein and Sinners on the drama side here, but some heavy hitters from what I've heard. This is where it's interesting because it's best motion picture, musical or comedy, which is such a weird, arbitrary categorization. And then a lot of these, it's like, would you even classify them as either of them? Blue Moon, I wouldn't. Like, there's some laughing. There are funny moments. I wouldn't say it's like purely a comedy. And it's not a musical, but Begonia, Marty Supreme, No Other Choice, Nouvelle Vague, and One Battle After Another. See, this already tells me something about No Other Choice that I didn't know. I had no idea it was either a musical or a comedy. I'm guessing it's a comedy, but it struck me as a drama just coming from the previous film I've seen. But Nouvelle Vague is one I have to watch as well. So it was kind of a shocking pick, I think, for a lot of people for this Golden Globes. But yep, that's One Battle After Another, I think. Best Motion Picture Animated. So we have Arco. We've got the Arco, Elio, K-Pop Demon Hunters, Little Amelie, and Zootopia 2, but we switched out In Your Dreams for Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Kaiba, Infinity Castle, which is such an unexpected choice, but I think a lot of people would agree it's an inspired choice. I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot better things about that than In Your Dreams, which is just the most uninspired choice possible. So yeah, now that I think of it, like damn, In Your Dreams shouldn't have been nominated, and like could have gotten Demon Slayer or Chainsaw Man in there, which I've heard great things about both of those. But it's like it's tough, I guess, with the franchise anime films. It's a tougher barrier for entry as well, because even for me, I was like, I can't really watch Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, I'm assuming, because I haven't seen the show. So that would be a tough one to think about if I can catch up on or not. I don't know. Best Motion Picture, Non-English Language. It Was Just an Accident, No Other Choice, Sentimental Value, Surat, The Secret Agent, and The Voice of Hind Rajab, which I haven't seen either. I haven't seen any of these, so that's my big catch up there. And where do they get these photos? It's a nice mix, but they're nice photos. Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Motion Picture Drama. Ava Victor. See, this is how we get Ava Victor in, who I think is one of my favorite performances of the year. Like, such an interesting, unconventional role that I don't think we've really seen in that capacity. And she directed, wrote, and starred and led in that film. Sorry, baby. So Jennifer Lawrence, who's a lot of like you can't take your eyes off of her in Die My Love. Jessie Buckley and Hammond, again, front runner from all I've heard. Julia Roberts for After the Hunt, which is it's a random one we wouldn't have gotten with just the standard 5 nominees, and I haven't seen that. And then Renate Reinsve for Sentimental Value, and Tessa Thompson for Hedda. That's a great bunch of ladies. Best Performance by a Male Actor in a Motion Picture Drama. So this is where we get a couple interesting ones in here, too. Bunch of them. We got Dwayne Johnson for The Smashing Machine. We got Jeremy Allen White for Springsteen, Delivered Me From Nowhere, which is one I didn't watch. I also could have seen that in theaters for a while. It was in there for a while. Also not doing very well from what I could tell, or what I recall. Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, Oscar Isaac for Frankenstein, and Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. Again, I've only seen half of them. Best performance by a female actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. All right, this one's pretty stacked. Amanda Seyfried, The Testament of Anne Lee, Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another, Cynthia Erivo, Wicked for Good, Emma Stone, Begonia, Kate Hudson's Song Sung Blue, which I've not heard good things about at all, but I still really am looking forward to seeing it, honestly, because I think it looks like it could be fun with Hugh Jackman in there too. And Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. All right. It's a lovely lineup of ladies here, man. Some talent packed in here. And man, if Chase Infinity actually gets in for the Oscars, I mean, already this is a huge achievement, but if she gets in for the Oscars, wow, that's crazy. Like this was your debut performance in a film. Wild. Best performance by a male actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. Now this is stacked. Too. Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, George Clooney for Jake Kelly, Jesse Plemons for Begonia, Lee Byung-hun for No Other Choice, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, and Timothy Chalamet for Marty Supreme. The only two I haven't seen are Lee Byung-hun and Timothy Chalamet so far. The other four are just awesome performance. I loved all of them in their films. So, really interested when it comes to that category. Best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in any motion picture. Amy Madigan, Weapons. She's awesome. Ariana Grande, Wicked for Good. She's awesome. Elle Fanning, Sentimental Value. Looks awesome. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie yet. Emily Blunt, The Smashing Machine. Haven't seen it. Inga Ibsdottir Leleas, Sentimental Value. Haven't seen it. Teyana Taylor. Wow, really cool picture there. One Battle After Another. She's great. Again, I'm not going to make a judgment call. I haven't seen half of them. Why am I always... It's just like all my work this year got me halfway there. All right, I'll take it. Best performance by a male actor in a supporting role in any motion picture. Adam Sandler, Jay Kelly, Benicio del Toro, One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi, Frankenstein, Paul Mescal, Hamnet, Sean Penn, One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård, Sentimental Value. That's the exact same lineup for Critics' Choice, I believe. So, yeah, same feelings there. I've seen 4 out of 6. That's only because One Battle After Another doubled up. Best Director, Motion Picture. Oh, they couldn't get pictures. You couldn't get pictures for the other two. Does that mean that it were nominated before? Is that what it entails? No, because Chase Infinity is in there. Like, you couldn't find one picture of these guys. Come on. Chloe Zhao, Hamnet. Guillermo del Toro, Frankenstein. Jafar Panahi, It Was Just an Accident. Joachim Trier, Sentimental Value, and Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler, Sinners. I think it's probably between those last two, realistically. But again, I haven't seen half of them. Oh, look at this. Now we got all these people who aren't going to have pictures. Best Screenplay for a Motion Picture. We got Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident. Sentimental Value, One Battle After Another, Marty Supreme, and Sinners. Tough categories. It's going to be tough to parse out with we got the two juggernauts with One Battle After Another and Sinners. And I've also heard, obviously, Hamnet has a lot of positive response. Marty Supreme has a lot of positive response. Even Sentimental Value, it's much more on the fringe, I think, than the others. But still, it's like, where are we going to parse out what movie gets what? Or are we going to have another Runaway, Anora situation to where One Battle After Another just sweeps a ton of stuff? Sinners sweeps a ton of stuff. Who knows? I'm curious. I hope, the best award ceremonies are the ones where they're diversified a little bit. You got different winners, so it's not the same person going up over and over again and 12 wins for one movie. But Best Original Score, Motion Picture. Frankenstein, F1, One Battle After Another, Surratt, Sinners, Hamnet. Best Original Song, Motion Picture. Okay, we have Dream as One from Avatar, Fire and Ash. Golden, K-Pop Demon Hunters, I Lied to You, Sinners, No Place Like Home, and The Girl in the Bubble from Wicked for Good, and Train Dreams from Train Dreams. Again, same thing still stands. The two are the most it's most up for grabs for Golden and I Lied to You, and I'm still not 100% sure. Now this is the stupidest award of literally all of them. All of them. In any award show, it's the stupidest. And every single time I see anyone talk about this award, they always say it's stupid. I'm like, who is this award for? No one likes it. It's so dumb because guess what? It's cinematic and box office achievement. I mean, if you didn't already think it was stupid, which I did, the first nominee just really knocks it out of the park because this obviously was released weeks ago. Avatar, Fire and Ash. I mean, yes, it's gonna do well in the box office, but this is what's even the point of this category? We're nominating movies that haven't come out yet. F1, K-Pop Demon Hunters, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Sinners, Weapons, Wicked for Good, and Zootopia 2. What is the arbitrary selection? If we're going for actual box office achievement, wouldn't just go for the movie that got the most in the box office? Which some of those movies aren't even present here. K-Pop Demon Hunters was barely in the box office. It was a cinematic achievement, I guess. It was obviously a phenomenon on streaming, but it seems like so many different things we're battling here that none of it, we don't have a clear answer of what's deciding this. Because I didn't really like the movies, but a Minecraft movie and Lilo and Stitch should be over a lot of them. It doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. Why is Mission Impossible here? I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it. But all right. Television. Is it all television now? It's so funny looking at the nominees for television. I'm like, I don't know what any of these shows are. I know I've heard of Severance from everybody. I've heard of Andor, but then it's just all these random names, and there's always a new one each year, and I'm like, I still don't know what that. I don't know what that is either now. Just add another one to the list. Best, and of course, yes, my favorite category is best performance in stand-up comedy on television. What the hell? Who is deciding that? And then best podcasts. Oh, God. All right, Golden Globes. Thank you for that. You're good in some ways, but then you have a couple of those, and it's what are we doing here? And now we finally come to the Oscars shortlist for the first 12 categories, which goes from animated short film, casting, cinematography, documentary feature film, documentary short film, international feature film, live action short film, makeup and hairstyling, music, original score, music, original song, and sound and visual effects. This is interesting because, theoretically, in my catch-up, Oscars is going to be my biggest, have the biggest weight. It's going to hold the most weight, but at the same time, it's behind the others. So we're starting with the shortlist, which is a much bigger list of movies, which theoretically I would love to have watched all of those. I just don't think it will be realistic to get that done even in before Oscars. But then, so the Critics' Choice and Golden Globes give more of an indication, maybe where things are going. So I can look at them in that way. But the nominations ultimately come out. I forget exactly when it said for the Oscars, in a few weeks. But yeah, essentially, what I wanted to say when we get to these is the shorts and the documentaries. I'm essentially deciding what I need to watch based on the nominees alone. So even the short list probably isn't enough. I'll probably wait till the actual nominees are set in stone. So I know, okay, I need to watch these. And my goal this year, this Oscars is to have watched every nominee. Last time I was specifically wanted Best Picture in the acting categories. Now I want every nominee covered. So we'll see if I can do it, because that will include the short film, live action short films, and animated short films, documentaries, all that. And I've watched a couple documentaries, but not many. Like literally a couple, maybe like two that are on this. But the shorts, I don't really watch shorts at all. So the nominees, whatever they end up being, will specifically decide what I'm going to be watching for those. So I don't know any of these nominees for animated short film. Casting is the completely new category for Oscars, which is exciting. It's not every day you get that. Academy members will be invited to view excerpts from the shortlisted films and pre-recorded interviews with their casting directors on Friday, January 9th. How about that? So we got 10 nominees here. Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, Seurat, Weapons, and Wicked for Good. Wicked for Good is an interesting one. The biggest observation people are taking away from this, or one of the biggest ones, is that Wicked for Good is present on a lot of these, which doesn't mean everything, because Shortlist doesn't mean nominated, but certainly gives the Wicked for Good fans more hope of course, getting the Best Picture nominee, but just getting more attention in general in the awards. Obviously, especially with the shortlist, I'm not going to be able to weigh in much on, because there'll be even bigger range, and I'll have seen even less of them. I'll mention if there's any snubs or anything that I can think of. But it's nice that there's branches. I really would love to know exactly the inner workings of the Oscars, but like the members of each branch kind of decides the shortlist. Oh, and the nominees. Okay, I wanted to clarify that. So they determine the shortlist and the nominees in a lot of these, so it's cool. So you actually it's not just like the most popular movie necessarily every time. It's like on the purely technical aspect. It's supposed to be the closest to objective we can get from the shadowy awards. Cinematography. Ballad of a Small Player, which I haven't seen yet. Begonia, Die My Love, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Nouvelle Vague, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, Sinners, Seurat, Song Sung Blue, Sound of Falling, which I haven't seen, Train Dreams, and Wicked for Good. Absolutely cinema. Again, it's tough, like, when it's like there might be some really inspired nominees, and obviously the nominee, especially when it comes down to the Oscars, when we get to see the actual nominees, that's a win in itself, because as I'm about to say, sometimes it's like that one or two movies scoop up all the awards, even if they're not necessarily like the best in those categories. Sometimes that's just how it happens. Like I think with Anora, in winning stuff like best editing, which I don't think is its best aspect, but that can happen. Documentary feature film. All right, this is one I've seen too. Like I said, literally, I've only seen a couple of the documentaries on this list. And I always knew that was going to be the case, so I'm waiting to see what the final 5 nominees will be, and I'll go from there. And I'm hoping the 2 I've seen are in there. Obviously, I can't say definitively, but I thought they were both excellent, which is The Perfect Neighbor and Come See Me in the Good Light, which I haven't gotten a chance to talk about yet in the channel because I watched it just this month. And it's a really lovely documentary. Both are incredibly moving documentaries. Documentary short film. I haven't seen any of these, so the nominees will decide that for me. International feature film. Okay, and then this one, I was just reading. So it started with, for international feature, it started with 86 countries that were eligible in the category. And essentially, each country gets a representative that they choose. And then it got narrowed down to 15 films. And so I guess there's no, specific branch for it was all the Academy Award members from all the branches participated in the preliminary voting here. Belaine, The Secret Agent, It Was Just an Accident, Sound of Falling, Homebound, The President's Cake. It's crazy. Kokuho, All That's Left of You, Sentimental Value, Palestine 36, No Other Choice, Sarat, Late Shift, Left-Handed Girl, and The Voice of Hein Rajab. Again, I haven't seen a lot of these. Of course, the ones we'll be looking at the most are, as the front runner, are going to be the ones we've already heard, nominated for other things. So we're looking at The Secret Agent. It Was Just an Accident. Sentimental Value, No Other Choice, and Sarat. Is that the 5 right there? Perhaps. There was a bit for Left-Handed Girl, The Voice of Hein Rajab. It might just be the 5 I named, though. Who knows? I can't speak on it. Live action short film. Same, I'm going to wait for the nominees. Makeup and hairstyling. The Alto Nights, which I haven't heard anything about this year, but okay. Frankenstein, Kokuho, which I still don't know what that is. They just named it an international feature. What was that? For what country? Japan, of course. Mighty Supreme, Nuremberg, which I haven't seen. One Battle After Another. Sinners, The Smashing Machine, The Ugly Stepsister, and Wicked for Good. The biggest win here is The Ugly Stepsister. Absolutely. Killer. Frankenstein, obviously, makeup and hair. Sinners. Yeah, I can see it. The Smashing Machine, obviously. Wicked for Good, obviously. But The Ugly Stepsister is a super inspired choice. I really enjoyed that film. And it's like a body horror film in a similar vein to The Substance. I think The Substance meets Cinderella, and that's exactly what you're going into. Definitely deserves major props here. But also, the weirdest one is One Battle After Another. I have no idea what that's doing there. And there's a makeup artist and hairstylist branch for this. So I'm just so curious what they're thinking. Everybody's like loving One Battle After Another, so they can't help it. But, like, what's the actual merit for that being there? Like the impressive makeup and hairstyle. I can't remember a single thing that would make it worthy of that nomination. But amazing movie. Music, original score. Why there's so many on the short list for original score, I don't even know why. There's 20 of them. And members of the music branch vote to determine the short list and the nominees. There's some random ones in here. Okay. Avatar, Fire and Ash. No idea. Begonia. Captain America, Brave New World. Should go back and listen to that score. Diane Warren, Relentless. The meme just, it keeps going. Diane Warren. F1. Frankenstein. Hamnet. Hedda, A House of Dynamite, Jake Kelly, Marty Supreme, Nuremberg, One Battle After Another, Sinners, Sarat, Train Dreams, Tron Ares, Truth and Treason, Wake Up, Dead Man, and Knives Out Mystery, and Wicked for Good. Okay, so we're doing Wake Up, Dead Man, and Knives Out Mystery, but we're not doing F1 the movie. You can't have it both ways. Tron Ares is very interesting because I don't think it's a particularly good movie, but the score is the biggest thing that people love about it. Truth and Treason, I have no idea what that is. It's just interesting. Now, music original song. As Alive as You Need Me to Be from Tron Ares. Dear Me from Diane Warren, Relentless. Dream as One from Avatar, Fire and Ash. Drive from F1. Dying to Live from Billy Idol Should Be Dead. I saw, I think his name is the Awards Garage. I saw his reaction to the short list, and same reaction I had. I never heard of Billy Idol Should Be Dead. Not once this whole year was it uttered, I swear, that the movie existed. The Girl in the Bubble from Wicked for Good. Golden, K-Pop Demon Hunters. Highest to Lowest from Highest to Lowest. Don't know what that is. I Lied to You from Sinners. Last Time I Seen the Sun from Sinners. No Place Like Home from Wicked for Good. Our Love from The Ballad of Wallace Island. Salt Then Sour Then Sweet from Come See Me in the Good Light. Sweet Dreams of Joy from Viva Verity. Train Dreams from Train Dreams. I gotta say, the original song category is one of the ones I have the least amount of faith in, because last year they gave it to Damn It Amelia Perez, and it was like, okay, this is the one that's gonna win. Everybody kind of accepted it at that point, but still, there were better songs in that category. Even in the five they narrowed it down to with these stupid couple Amelia Perez songs in there. And there were more beyond that should have been on there. Like, what are we doing? The Wild Robots, that song should have been on there. And it's just not for some reason. There was two Amelia Perez songs, if I'm remembering correctly, that I don't think were particularly good. You could say like, it's not a good movie, but these are the good things about it. No, I don't really think so. I don't think the music was anything to write home about for Amelia Perez. And it wasn't even the penis and vagina song, which is crazy. Because another one, which would have been a cool nod, is the song in the song from the Will and Harper documentary, which was actually a pretty good song. But that's why I'm like, I don't really have a lot of faith in Come See Me in the Good Light, though Sarah Bareilles might elevate it a little bit. But yeah. Again, that's the one I'll definitely be re-listening and assessing the music. Sound, Avatar Fire and Ash, F1, Frankenstein, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, One Battle After Another, Sinners, Seurat, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, Superman, and Wicked for Good. This is when people were pretty appalled that Warfare wasn't there, and then there's like some random ones in there you wouldn't really necessarily think for sound. Visual effects. This one shook me to my core when I saw it. You can't even start reading without noticing the electric state. It's a really, really bad movie, which is like, it's fine. Like, the visual effects branch is gonna determine based purely on the visual effects is the idea. So I appreciate that, but that just seems like, no. I don't, and I was never even on board when people were saying it's a really bad movie, but the effects are good. I never even got that. I didn't like how they looked at all. Maybe on a technical aspect, but it's just like nothing I would ever award, ever. Even remotely wouldn't nominate, wouldn't do any of that. You can just throw a ton of money at something and just be like, okay, let's make it Academy Award nominating. That would shake me to my core if that was one of the five. Truly, I hope to God it's not. F1, Frankenstein, Jurassic World Rebirth, which just feels very weird to me. I haven't seen it, but that's another one I'm going to have to do some catch up on next year. I only haven't seen the one Jurassic World before it, but I want to do a full rewatch of Jurassic Park and World, I think. The Lost Bus, which I have no idea anything about that. Sinners. That's mostly going to be the technology used with the twins, and that, it looks really good. Can't complain. Superman. Kind of surprising not to see Fantastic Four here. I think they're both in the same level, same ballpark. Tron Ares, which is it's okay, and Wicked for Good. That's it. That's it for the categories. It's getting late for me here tonight. Long video, but hopefully if you were able to skip around to whatever interested you, you did. Crazy. I've watched so many movies this year, and taking the shortlist out of it, because obviously there's a much bigger list, but in the other nominees for Critics' Choice and Golden Globes, I've seen like half of most of them. Half. I was trying my damnedest, but even every time, like, these award-worthy the movies that tend to be up for the awards, realistically, a lot of times they happen to be ones with limited releases, or it takes a while to come over. Like, even I'm Still Here was just not in a theater near me until like a month before the Oscars or something last time. And that was when I had to drive an hour away because it wasn't in my local theater. It was in like one of the artists, one of those artists' theaters, But yeah, definitely. I'm not sure to what extent I'll be following everything, more nominations and different award shows and all that. I'd like to talk about it in some regard, maybe when the Critics' Choice happens, Golden Globes happen. Definitely, hopefully I can have watched more of these by then and be able to have more of a horse in the race there. But definitely leading up to the Oscars, I'll do definitive videos making my picks for each category, what I would pick, just like I did last year, but it'll be even more comprehensive this year because I will have hopefully seen all of them when I do that. And looking forward to it. Hoping to God that I can watch the streaming nice and easily of the Oscars because last year was there right on time, and Hulu was fucking up and glitching out the whole time. I was desperately trying to get in there to watch at certain points. Significant portion of the viewer base missed a whole chunk in like the most important part of the award show. It was such a mess. They were not ready for Disney Plus. It was like Hulu / Disney Plus, I think, at that point, but they were not ready to handle the server size of streaming a huge award show. And I did hear the news that they're going to be potentially going into YouTube, but not this year, not until 2029 the deal starts. So still have a few more years to deal with this, but we'll see what it's like then. Just hope it's a lot more seamless this time. That would be nice. And I thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one, as well as talking about movies, TV, and reality television every single month. All right. Got a lot more on the way in all those categories. And as the award season continues, I will continue to upload in this regard. But also every month I do a video ranking all of my first time watches from the previous month. Just a fun ranking, not super serious, but mostly an excuse to talk about all the movies I'm watching, and that's all there is to it. So, thank you, and sound out below with any of your thoughts on any of these awards, the nominations, any movies I should particularly hone in on and prioritize. Let me know. Thank you.